Junior St. Hilaire to bring this evening's prayers.
All heads bow. God and eternal Father, we are gracious. We thank you for the opportunity, O God, that we can all come here this evening. Father, I pray, O God, that you will cover this meeting, O God, Father, and I pray for each and every one here, O God, that you will cover and guide us, O God, including our families. Father, I pray for our political leader and all those in the leadership of the People's National Movement. We pray, O God, your wisdom, your covering over them and their household. I pray, O God, even as we continue this evening, O God, that you'll give us a spirit of love, understanding. I pray, O God, that you'll give the speakers clarity of thought, O God, and we ask that you will continue to guide us as a political organization, as a people, and we ask this in order name, in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. Is there anyone from the constituency of Laventille East Mover? Is there anyone from the constituency of Laventille East Mover? Is there anyone from the constituency of Laventille West? Is there anyone from the People's National Movement? Ladies and gentlemen, as she's on her way, I wish to acknowledge our political leader, the leader of the opposition and member of parliament for the constituency of Arima, Honourable Pennelope Beckles Robinson. I wish to acknowledge our Vice Chairman, Senator Dr. Amory Brown. I wish to acknowledge our deputy political leaders and officers of the movement, members of parliament, senators, chairmen, mayors, local government practitioners, our local government campaign manager, Mr. Lennox Ratang Singh, coordinators, PNM people, good evening. To start off, our campaign, our meeting here this evening, a PNM meeting that stands in defense of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, assist me in welcoming our opening batsman for this evening, the chairman of the Youth League for Laventille West, a former student of the University of Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Miss Jakea Brown.
Good evening. I stand on the already established protocols. However, I must acknowledge in my presence this evening, Honourable Mrs. Pennelope Beckles Robinson, the leader of the opposition and the political leader of the People's National Movement. The MP of Laventille West, Mr. Kareem Marcelle, officials, distinguished guests, members of the media, and fellow citizens. Tonight, I stand before you as a proud young person of Trinidad and Tobago, but more importantly, as someone whose life was positively impacted by a youth development program. Growing up, I learned that success is not just about talent and academics. It is also about opportunities. Many young people have the talent, the determination, and the willingness to work hard, but they need programs that help them turn their potential into reality. For decades, youth programs have served as a bridge between dreams and achievements. Programs such as MyLot, CCC, National Youth Service, the Youth Training and Employment Partnership Program, also known as YTEP, and on-the-job training, have provided young people with skills, discipline, education, and work experience. The PNM government had an entire ministry just for youth run by the Minister Foster Cummins, Ministry of Youth Development and National Service, who offer programs like the Youth Agriculture Home Study Program, the Youth Aquaculture Project, just to name a few. The PNM even offer youth tech, which they were given short courses like makeup artistry, nails technology, phone and tablets repairs, the Shade Homes program, where young people could have actually owned their own land and much more. These programs are not handouts. They were opportunities they were investments in the future for our nation. I know this because I personally benefit from a youth program. It gave me experiences that I helped shape my confidence, my leadership abilities, and my outlook on life. It taught me valuable skills, introduced me to positive mentors, showed me that with hard work and dedication, I could achieve my goals. With that opportunity, I may not have that confidence to stand before you tonight and speak on an issue that affects so many young people across our country. Sadly, many young people today are seeing opportunities becoming more limited. Unfortunately, many of these programs have been reduced, disconnected, or replaced with fewer opportunities than before by this useless government. As a result, many young people, especially those from disadvantaged communities, are finding it more difficult to access training, employment, and personal development programs. This creates a gap that can leave vulnerable youths feeling neglected and without direction. Why must a young person feel as though there isn't any hope for a better future? Especially in a time where our country faces challenges such as unemployment, crime, and social instability. This is exactly when we should be exposing and expanding opportunities for our young people, not taking them away. As a nation, we must ask ourselves, what kind of future do we want for our youth? Do we want a society where young people feel forgotten, or do we want one where they feel empowered to become leaders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and role models? When we compare the opportunities that exist years ago with what is available today, it's clear that many young people have few pathways to success. The reality is that investing in youth is investing in the future of Trinidad and Tobago. Every young person deserves a chance to learn, grow, and to be successful, regardless of their background. This UNC government needs to be expanding youth programs, increasing access to skill training, cultural activities, and creating more employment opportunities that can make a significant difference in the lives of thousands of young people. As a young person, we do not want no more promises. We want opportunities. We want the chance to learn, to work, to grow, and to contribute to our nation. We want the government to recognize that investing in youth is one of the smartest investments any country can make. Tonight, I call on this UNC government to prioritize youth development, and once again, let us strengthen programs that have proven success. Let us create new opportunities where needed. Let us ensure that no young person is left behind because they lack access to training, mentorship, or support. I am grateful for the opportunities I receive through youth development initiatives. And I know there are thousands of other young people whose lives has been transformed in the same way. Let us ensure that the future generation have those same opportunities, because when we invest in our youth, we invest in stronger, safer, and more prosperous Trinidad and Tobago. And the People's National Movement, I say thank you for giving us the opportunity from nursery to tertiary. God bless. And we shall all say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we shall prevail.
Laventille West, you heard from your youth league chairman. We want no more promises. We want opportunities. Let's give our youth speaker here this evening a lusty round of applause once again. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is a man who knows and who has proven that public service runs in his blood. He is the nephew of former Prime Minister Patrick Manning and the son of the renowned Dr. Manning Alleyne. He was sworn in as the mayor of Port of Spain and part of the youth combination of the mayor deputy youngest combination. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a business development consultant. He is a health management professional, and really and truly his most important title, he is a former student of Queen's Royal College. Ladies and gentlemen, assist me in welcoming this young man, a tireless champion of Port of Spain, our mayor of the city of Port of Spain, His Worship Chinua Alleyne.
Give praise, children, yeah. Give praise, children. Our Father who has given us his heart so that we can all feel like we are a part of this earthly heaven.
Amen. In her absence, our political leader, the leader of the opposition, and the next Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honourable Pennelope Beckles Robinson. Members of the party leadership, I recognize our Deputy Political Leader, Party and Election Matters, Ms. Jennifer Batiste Primus. Our party Vice Chairman, Senator Dr. Amory Brown. My friends on the front line of the political battle with whom I am very pleased to share the platform tonight, the Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North St. Anne's West, Mr. Stuart Young, the Member of Parliament for Port of Spain South, Mr. Keith Scotland, and I know the two gentlemen that are holding the fort down in Laventille. Our Member of Parliament for Laventille East Mover, Mr. Christian Birchwood, and my brother with whom I was very well pleased to serve on the Council of the City of Port of Spain, the Member of Parliament for Laventille West, Mr. Kareem Marcelle. And ladies and gentlemen, it brings me great pleasure to come and speak tonight in Laventille. It brings me great pleasure to come after that sterling performance by our youth speaker. I think that she deserves definitely another round of applause. Folks, we're going through some challenging times. Some of you, I'm sure, know more than I do the difficulties that we're facing. Some serious struggles. We in the city of Port of Spain know that we are on the front line of this battle. We are being specifically targeted because we're from Tongue. We're being targeted because we're from Tongue, and we're being targeted because we support the PNM year after year after year after year. Just a few short days ago, my colleagues and I were out on our cleanup campaign across the city over the weekend. That campaign took us into the community of Sealots. And when we went there, I had the opportunity to engage with the fishermen in Sealots, engage with the fisher folk, and I was able to hear their plight. their plight is very similar to the same plight that you have. They were told in no uncertain terms by representatives that met with them from NAMDEVCO, by representatives that met with them from the Port Authority, by representatives that held themselves out as people that have a decision to make. They are the ones holding the pen. They are the ones signing off on decisions. They were told in no uncertain terms that the fish market in Sealots was going to be shut down by the government. No alternatives put in place for them, no consultation, no effort to ensure that the people that of Sealots that see the fish market in Sealots as their bread and butter, that see it as an opportunity for them to be able to take care of themselves and their families. They were told that in no uncertain terms. And on Sunday, when I spoke with those fishermen, I told them that the PNM's voice is your voice. That as somebody who has responsibility for the people in Port of Spain, that I would speak on your behalf and that I would bring this message, this information to the attention of the national community. No sooner had I decided to do that, about a day later, we start to see all kind of activity in Sealots. People who didn't even know how to spell Sealots find themselves down in the village. All kind of people from the cabinet start to run into the community and visit and make this promise and that. No, we're not closing down any fish market. All sorts of things. It is only because they were caught. It is only because they knew that the people in Sealots continue to have the unwavering support of the PNM. It is only because of that that they are now promising those fisher folk that they will not close that fish market this coming Sunday. That is the strength of the representation of your party, whether we're in government or in opposition. Whether we are in government or in opposition, the People's National Movement is committed to ensuring that we represent the needs of all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago and to give a voice to those of our fair citizens who feel as though they are voiceless. That is our responsibility and our commitment to you as members of the People's National Movement. But we also face some other challenges. I have spoken to the national community time after time about the issues we face with our budget in the city of Port of Spain. When we took a look at our financial allocations in the month of October last year, we saw our budget for short-term employment cut. We saw our budget to buy diesel cut. We saw our budget to buy uniforms and PPE cut. Our budget to buy asphalt to patch roads cut. Our budget to buy cement to fix the pavement cut. And our budget to ensure that we could pick up the garbage in the city of Port of Spain, we saw that budget cut too. So much so that today I was advised by our Chief Executive Officer in the Port of Spain Corporation that we received our final check for this financial year for garbage collection services in the city of Port of Spain. We have received our final check today, and the money comes short. It is not even enough to meet all of the obligations that we have for this present month. So we are waiting very patiently, waiting with bated breath and an attentive ear to see what is presented in the parliament when the government goes into the parliament for the mid-year review. We are waiting to see, and when we receive the information, we will be prepared to speak a little bit more comprehensively on the matters affecting the people of Port of Spain with our funding and garbage collection. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we are facing some challenging times. We are facing some difficulties and we have a lot of work to do. My commitment on behalf of my colleagues on the Council of the City of Port of Spain is to ensure that we continue working diligently for all of the people that call Port of Spain their home and for all of the people that call Port of Spain their capital city. We will continue to work diligently for all of you. We will continue to give you all of our support, as we know that time after time, you have lent your support to us. We will continue to do that work, and we will do that work through the mechanisms within the People's National Movement, and we will do it solidly behind our political leader, the Honourable Pennelope Beckles Robinson. We will continue the fight. We will continue that fight on the highways and the byways. We will continue to lead the effort from now until the election bell rings, whether it rings in 2030 or before. We will continue that fight until the local election government bell rings by the end of 2027. We are asking all of you to continue to give us your support, continue to support the People's National Movement, continue to speak up and fight for good governance all across Trinidad and Tobago, because we know that with your support, with the leadership of our political leader, with your unwavering support, we will all be able to continue to say that the PNM is great. We will be able to continue to say that the PNM is great. We will be able to continue to develop all of Trinidad and Tobago, and we will be ready to take back the reins of government when the time comes and continue the work of developing this society. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time to speak this evening. Thank you for continuing to support the party. And I want to remind you that as you continue to support us, it is only because of your support that we will be able to say that great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and it shall prevail. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our worship the mayor of the city of Port of Spain a lusty round of applause. And you know, the mayor said something that when the election bell ring by 2030, we don't want it to ring 2030, we want it to ring right now. Ladies and gentlemen, assist me in also acknowledging the Member of Parliament for Malabar Mausika, MP Dominic Romain. I wish to also recognize the chairman of the Sawa Laventille Regional Corporation, Chairman Richard Walcott, who is also the constituency chairman. Now, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this next young man rose to the ranks of the industry, of the engineering industry, before answering the call of community service. He's the holder of a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Trinidad and Tobago. This is the second time you heard that university, a product of the People's National Movement. He brings tremendous experience in coordination, in national fuel distribution. In 2025, the people of Laventille East Mover decided that they were going to send this young man into Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, assist me in welcoming the Member of Parliament for Laventille East Mover, Honourable Christian Birchwood.
It's like a cheap planet that the rivers of waters are bringing forth to receive, no matter whoever solid, who shall fuck five and either. The wicked are not so like a champion to be driving away. Therefore, the wicked shall not stand in the congregation of the righteous, not a judgment. Anybody hear me say lava?
Man who controlling the music tonight. Yeah, vibes. Good evening, everybody. In her presence, allow me to acknowledge the political leader and leader of the opposition, Mrs. Pennelope Beckles Robinson. In his absence, the chairman of the PNM and MP for Arupa, Lupino, Chief Whip and the opposition bench, Mr. Marvin Gonzalez, all other members of the leadership team, the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honourable Stuart Young, all other members of Parliament present, and I will specifically point out one member who's sitting here because we are on his home turf, Member of Parliament for Laventille West, Mr. Kareem Marcelle, Chairman of the Port of Spain Corporation, Mr. Chinua, Alleyne, Chairman of the Salmon Regional Corporation, all councillors present, all members of the Protective Service present, all members of the media, all members of the listening and viewing audience, thank you and welcome. We go again. Good evening. Is PNM in the house tonight? Malabar in the house tonight? No? Yeah? Sawa, anybody from Sawa in here tonight? Yeah? Port of Spain? Yeah? Anybody from over in here tonight? Yeah? All right. We're from Laventille West? One Laventille, right? Yes. And I'm glad you say that because every time I get an opportunity to speak to an audience, especially on my soil, I like to remind them that I am one of you. I am one of you. For those who may not know, I, Christian Birchwood, I played basketball in St. Barb's, like many of us probably did in here. Played basketball in the cottage, Coconut Drive, for those who know what that is. I had a roti by Eggies. I don't know if anybody understand or know whose egg is. Today, the young people might know it as Hunties, right? But big up Toya one time and the top of the line bar. That's what occupies that space now, but I know it as Eggies. Right? I, Christian Birchwood, I walked through many traces in here, like PJ trace to get to school and to get home, like many of us probably did. And I always like to take the time to remind the people that I serve that I am one of them. I am one of you. Because that will not just keep me grounded, but it allows me to connect with you. Because I know the struggles, and I also know the successes of this place called Laventille. So one more time, give yourselves a round of applause. And I find it very important that I remind you all that I am one of you because of one thing, and I may harp on it a bit because it really disturbed me. Last night, while sitting in Parliament of this great republic, something occurred, and it's something that the government has been doing since they came into office. They have been using very nasty rhetoric to create very nasty narratives about the people from Laventille, the people from Mova, the people from Port of Spain, the people from the entire east-west corridor, and anything that might look like a PNM. Nasty narratives. And I guess it came to a point last night that I personally couldn't take it anymore, where we had a high-ranking member in the chambers, the member of Parliament for Orpuch East, the Minister of Energy, referring to some citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, a section of people that probably differ to you because they may have a different political allegiance as compared to you, as vagrants. That's what he referred to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago as, vagrants. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what they think of us. That is what they think of us, and that is what they put on the Hansard. And they, since they came in, they have been using this very divisive language repeatedly to separate the country and the citizens, That's what they do. And then when you pin them in a corner and you say that is inappropriate, they deny it. But unfortunately, we in this room, and the majority of the young people as well, we cannot deny it. We cannot deny that those words, they have a lot of consequences, especially when they come from high office, directed at a particular segment of the population. They have implications. And those implications they have plagued us for many years, because this is my opinion. We have allowed people who are not from our soil, who do not know what it is to walk our streets, to face the challenges that we face. We have allowed these people to paint a very nasty picture of us. And I say tonight that it is time that we begin to tell everybody else exactly who we are. Stay out of our business. Ladies and gentlemen, I say that because that type of language, the impact it has cost us many things. It has cost us jobs. It has cost us opportunities, be it business opportunities, educational opportunities, and some might even say it has cost us the very relationship that we have with law enforcement. When you paint us a particular way and you don't have context, that is very dangerous. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure some of us in here, they can attest to, it may sound very simple, but some of the young people in here I know it's something that occurred to some people that I may know. They may have used maybe the address of a relative that lives outside of the constituency in the hopes that it gives them a better chance at securing maybe a job or some form of opportunity. That is because of a narrative, ladies and gentlemen. I can give you an example of my own. I remember walking into an interview room, sitting and completely charming the pants off of the entire interview panel. And then a question arose. Where are you from? And I had to whisper that under my breath. And when they heard that, all of the smiles, they disappeared. The questions then became very intrusive. Is it safe? How you get here? These type questions came about. Needless to say, I didn't get a return call. And this is me, an educated professional at that point in time, seeking opportunities. But there's that thing, that narrative that lingers, that is always an impedance to us. But there's one thing, ladies and gentlemen, that will not change and can never change within us. It will never die, and that is our resilience.
Ladies and gentlemen, assist me in welcoming the former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, the former Minister of Planning and Development, the former Minister of Housing and Urban Development, our leader of the opposition, the first female political leader of the People's National Movement, the Member of Parliament for Arima. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Honourable Pennelope Beckles Robinson, our political leader.
Some of them wish bad on me, all of them could go their way. Some of them just backed on me, and them feel like don't know. But I couldn't care.
Our leader knows the service. She She has served in many capacities in the cabinet of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, serving as Minister of Planning and Urban Development, serving as Minister of Housing, serving as Minister of Public Utilities and the Environment, Minister of Culture and Tourism. She has served as our ambassador to the United Nations, a former deputy speaker of the House of Representatives, the first female deputy speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the member of Parliament for Alleyne, the first political leader of the People's National Movement, and the Laventille West, we are declaring the next Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Honourable Pennelope Beckles Robinson. Laventille West, let's welcome our political leader. Let's make some noise for Honourable Pennelope Beckles Robinson. And let's also welcome Mr. Robinson.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for the political leader, Honourable Pennelope Beckles Robinson. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have in Laventille is mover, in many of our constituencies, resilience. And I would like to take this time to let the government know, to let the Minister of Energy know that I am not one of one. I am not one of one, because there are many successful and qualified people that come from our constituencies. Many. That divisive language cannot work. And we today will make that commitment to fight against that narrative and that divisiveness that you have now plagued the country with. Our resilience, ladies and gentlemen, have led to a lot of success stories in this country. We have produced countless doctors, countless lawyers, countless engineers, countless professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs, welders, electricians. We are a resilient people. And the thing is, this is why I say I'm not one of one. It is regular hard-working men and women that became the success stories. They woke up every morning, just like I would. Many of them would have had to get a box lunch when they went to school, just like I did. Yeah. They went to the primary school, went to the secondary schools, free education, went on to tertiary, free, from nursery to tertiary, like the youth league officer mentioned, and made something of themselves. So for you to stand so proudly and bold in the halls of Parliament, the most prestigious place on our soil, and refer to citizens as vagrants, I say to you tonight, sir, if you want to see a vagrant, go look in a mirror. Tonight, Laventille, tonight, we refuse and refute that narrative. We will stand together moving forward. We will believe together. We will work together, and we will fight together. Those that know me know that I don't speak long, but when I speak, it will be wise to listen. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and we shall prevail.
Laventille West, let's make some noise for the Honourable Christian Birchwood. Let them know if you touch Christian, you touch all of us. Let them know that this is a PNM place, this is PNM country. Assist me in welcoming our Lady Vice Chairman, acknowledging MP Nyan Gatsby. And one of the things that we should be proud of in the PNM is the next person I could acknowledge, the chairman of the National Youth League. Listen what I'm saying, Senator Patrick Phillips. Senator, let's give him some noise. Now, Laventille West, this next speaker needs little introduction. He is one of the sharpest legal minds that we have in the halls of the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. An attorney at law and a senior counsel. He has represented the constituency of Port of Spain South in the House of Representatives since 2020 and has served as the minister in the Ministry of National Security. If you want to hear a powerful parliamentary contribution, listen to the Member of Parliament for Port of Spain South, Laventille West. Assist me in welcoming the Member of Parliament for Port of Spain South, Honourable Keith Scotland.
If that them old time days, I know everything must change, but I still love the old time days.
Honourable Pennelope Beckles, political leader, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. They don't care about we, you know. They really don't care about we. What you heard from Christian is something that touched me in Parliament. And every time they open their mouth, every time they do an action, they show us in Laventille, they show us in Port of Spain, they show us in the entire country that they don't care about we. They talk words, you know, words, but their actions different. Because anybody who care about we wouldn't close down CPEP and send people home just so. Anybody who care about we wouldn't close down URP. Anybody who care about we wouldn't just send home forestry workers, HDC workers, and pack up WhatsApp with a set of the bloggers and the I have court clothes and their cohorts. And their cohorts. What I want to tell you all here tonight, they just simply don't care. And this whole scenario that we allowed ourselves to get roped into, yellow is the what? The code or the curse? Huh? It's the curse. And we have never had such a curse in Trinidad and Tobago that what we're experiencing here today. Never. But you see what happening now is they understand that the Balize is on the rise. They realize that we no longer dormant, that we up because they choke something in the Balize and a snake come out the back them. And that snake is Mrs. Pennelope Robinson Beckles. She bited them so hard that all the pus coming out of the skin, they can't help themselves anymore. Let me tell you this. We had a little issue in the Senate. I took a different view to everybody when that issue came. I thought nothing wrong went on. Everybody, oh, this, that, what. So what? You can't interfere with a statement. It's not a court case. That was my view. I may be wrong, but that was my view. But all of a sudden, every newspaper started to call on our leader. Fire this one, fire that one. In the Guardian, a running narrative every 2 days is an editorial. Penny, 4 days, we are waiting on you. Penny, 6 days, we are waiting on you. Penny, 12 days, well, they're still waiting. But what I noticed was this. Our leader didn't take chain up, you know. She didn't take chain up. And with all the pressure they think they put in, she waited. And guess what? The Privileges Committee met and found that no PNM member did anything wrong. Did you see that as a headline anywhere? But what got me, not one of the newspapers say, Penny, you were right, well played. They wouldn't say that because they don't accredit to us that sort of skill and leadership that we possess in the People's National Movement. And I watched it very carefully because that kind of pressure ain't easy to face. Every morning you wake up, it's like you're owing them something. Penny, we waiting, Penny, we waiting. And up to now, they have not acknowledged the acumen and the visibility and the calmness. Because that calmness now wearing off on me, you know, I'm trying in Parliament to behave myself until the speaker. Sometimes I just had to give them performance in the real way. So we understand that we have a true leader. And let me tell you why that is important. Laventille, West Trinidad and Tobago, we have a battle ahead, you know. It's a battle, not for just your lives, but the lives of your children, you know. Treat this battle not as if your life depends on it, but your children's livelihood depends on it. Because if you can't work, you can't send your children to school, you know. Your children remaining home and on TikTok and not understanding what's going on in the country, you know. That's what they want to bring us to in this country here, you know. That you can't feed your children and send them to school because they're taking away what they think little we have. We have more than that. And they want to put all of us on the poverty line to call us vagrants. To call us vagrants. But I listened very carefully in Parliament. The Prime Minister said last night, when she polls, I did not take that for granted. If they're doing the polls, don't discount that, you know. Because do not be surprised, Trinidad and Tobago, in spite of all that they're doing, that we still come out and support them when they give you a little kakata, you know. That is a serious historical, and it's a fact that we have to face frontally, you know. Because I cannot for the life of me understand why people will allow, and why we in particular would allow ourselves to be treated that way. And then just spat out, and then they could think they could come back at the end of the month and give us a little drippings and say, all right, come, yellow is the code. What the mayor told you about C-lots is a serious thing, you know. They called me the night before to say, come down for a meeting at 6 o'clock. I say, well, that had to be Penny. I'm not going to that meeting. You call me the night before. So all I do at home is twiddling my thumbs, wait on you to call me the night to say, come for 6 o'clock. But we did something else. We spoke to the fishermen, the mayor spoke to them. I had my meetings. We understand what is going on. And by tomorrow, God's willing, the Honourable Prime Minister will receive a full submission on behalf of the fisher folk of C-lots. Here's why. You close down CPEP, you say we are what? A country of grass cutters. So we have a facility where people earning their own keep as entrepreneurs. They have the boats, they're bringing in fish, they're dealing with the groceries, with the supermarkets. They're not depending on the government. You go close that down too? So they're taking everything away from us? When we depend on the state, they say don't depend on the state. When we don't depend on the state, the little that we have, they take it and they want to send them down carnage. That can't be right, and we're not taking that. State of emergency or not, we're not taking that. But that is where we are now. The battle is on all fronts. And I want to give you a little anecdote. I was in Parliament about 7 months ago, and your member for Parliament got up to make a submission. And the person in the chair made a very disparaging comment about him. So much so that my stoops, the spit, may have hit the other side. The Hansard records will show that when he came back, he apologized. For him to do that, it means that water more than flour. I watch those things because the others are not spoken to in that manner. I just simply not taking that. I come here to do my work. I will not be silenced. I will obey the rules, but I don't want nobody lecture me. I don't want nobody talk to me as if I'm the child. That's it. Because you're only doing that on one side. The other's getting away with blue murder. Watch your channel. Watch it. And if I wasn't good for myself last night, they shut me down, you know. But I'm learning something now, you know. Ignore the noise. Ignore the noise. And the fact that they don't care about we mustn't care about what they say about us once it's not true. Once it's not true, we don't care about what they say about us. We will do what we have to do. I want to talk to you about this state of emergency. And I want us to understand what they're trying to do. I heard the Prime Minister say last night that they can use the justification from March to continue a state of emergency in June. You ever hear more nonsense than that? You using a justification some 4 months ago to take away people's constitutional rights 4 months down the road. It must be something that exists now that threatens the country that will enable them to have a rolling state of emergency. And that is our position. And we said, leader, we'll take them to court, and we must take them to court. We mustn't be so docile with them because they feel that we just stupid. We just, you know, now we could go and make a submission in court. Well, we have Stuart Young here. I want to tell you something about the political leader in she days. Fire, you know. She trained under Teddy Guerra, you know. When Teddy Guerra gave me a file, it's the morning for the morning, and he said, go to court. And you better not come back and say, lose the case, you know. Better you go home. So we have lawyers, we have Mr. Lala behind there, Larry. We have Kareem. One of the first matters we did, they say crow can't sing. And a judge say, well, words were racist. The Court of Appeal has some rulers here. But we're looking promising. That's all I will say on that matter. And we fought them and we're fighting them all the way in the Court of Appeal. Let me tell you about this state of emergency. It is my view that this state of emergency is put in place to roll over to silence dissent against the government. That's it. You're locking up blogger. You're locking up people on YouTube and whatever, TikTok and Instagram. That is gangster. That is person holding bazooka and gun. These are people who against you. And there's much to be against them in this country now. So they know that. And they take in front before in front take them. And they put a state of emergency. And they have 15 places where you can't go. You can't go by the Red House. You can't go by the Prime Minister's residence. How many times have they protested when Dr. Rowley was Prime Minister and they march on his residence? They march on Import Office. They march. When we go into Parliament in September, it's all kind of cold pot. You're riding your bike. I say you don't want to know what I'm riding. That was my response. I said what? I didn't say who. I said what? It got so bad, I tell one, I say, well, tell her to boil bush tea for you, don't use my milk. He got quiet one time. The point I'm making is this. We took it in stride. We took it in stride. Under COVID, every Monday morning, their cohorts filing case in court and they're protesting. We took it in stride. But they want to silence us. What good for them in September? I see one of them, he quick, always on Instagram, paying the people and them to wear the green jerseys. Not understanding this Port of Spain sort of anything you do, I must see. Paying them, you know. He paying them, but he can't pay for his child. I have called no names. I throw my corn, I ain't call no foul, all right? Here's what's happening, people. They want to keep the voices of dissent quiet so that they can do what they want in this country. And we must not have a voice to challenge them. We will challenge them, people, under the leadership of our political leader. We'll challenge them in the north. We'll challenge them in the south. We'll challenge them in the east. We'll challenge them in the west. Great to see PNM. Great to see PNM. And we shall be.
Laventille West, let's make some noise for the Member of Parliament for Port of Spain South. We will challenge them. We will challenge them everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker needs little introduction. But he has served, and service is the word. A practicing attorney since 1998. He was admitted to the bar in Trinidad and Tobago, in London, in Dominica, in Antigua and Barbuda. As a matter of fact, I'm going to stop calling countries. He has served in many cabinet portfolios, from Attorney General to communications to national security to energy industries. And he has served our party and country well. Ladies and gentlemen, on the 17th of March, he was appointed the 8th Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. In April 2025, the people of Port of Spain North to St. Anne's West returned the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, a senior counsel, a former minister, Honourable Stuart Young. Ladies and gentlemen of Laventille West, assist me in welcoming the Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, Honourable.
Laventille West, let them hear you all in Superior tonight. To our political leader, leader of the opposition, Member of Parliament for Arima, the Honourable Penny Beckles Robinson. And listen, I realize not only he allowed the pillar to Mr. Robinson as well. To our executive of the People's National Movement who are here, giving their full support as usual, deputy political leaders, vice chairman, lady vice chair, general secretary, and all others. To the executive of Laventille West, Laventille East Mover, and particularly to the young man that you all decided, thankfully, to send to the house. I was going to say to get him, but no, that is bad language. Kareem Marcelle, the Member of Parliament for Laventille West. And to my colleagues, who I thank God for the opportunity to go to battle with whenever they summon us to Parliament, to the Members of Parliament for Port of Spain South, Keith, Scotland, Laventille East Mover, Christian Birchwood, Malabar Mausika, Dominic Romain, and joining us. You know you have somebody from Dago when they hear Port of Spain and Laventille having something. Dago Martin West, Hans the Deans. and to all my brothers and sisters in the movement, and also to you, the members of the media, and the wider viewing and listening public of Trinidad and Tobago, wherever you are. From day one with Dr. Eric Williams, the whole country tunes in when there is a PNM meeting, because you're guaranteed to get the truth, and you're guaranteed to get the facts, and you're guaranteed to get what is best for Trinidad and Tobago, and tonight ain't gonna be no different. We are in some very, very, very dark and difficult times. And I want to let the population of Trinidad and Tobago know that we in the People's National Movement know how difficult it is for many, many of our citizens. Because you see, yesterday with the finance bill, this UNC government continued its attack on the middle class of Trinidad and Tobago. They are using the legislation to destroy our middle class, and also from day one when they came into office, exactly as we had warned, they started hitting our more vulnerable citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. It is a fact that they got rid of CPEP, URP, reforestation, and then started with many, many contract workers throughout the ministries and state agencies, because they intend to try to break us. But as we told them in the parliament yesterday, the PNM stood up in parliament with 3 members of opposition in the House before and bat them back, bat them down, and returned us to power. And today we have 13 in the House, and we have our 6 senators. And we are telling you, our faithful, we will return to government. What is going on now is unprecedented. And it is important to have a brief conversation with you this evening. This book here is the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. This Constitution is something that Dr. Eric Williams fought for to get us out of the colonialization that we were in. And we have something called entrenched fundamental rights inside of here. And don't listen to Kamala, because I never see a High Court action, a Court of Appeal action, or a Privy Council action dealing with the Constitution with her name on it as an advocate. So to say all rights are not absolute, that's a nice sounding phrase. But let me tell you, this continued rolling of state of emergencies is unprecedented, and that is your crime plan. That is what they intend to force down our throat. And you know where it comes from? El Salvador. So when you all leave here, or even while you're here, start to look at it. Google it. Since 2002, El Salvador came in, the government there, and suspended via states of emergency, rolling it. They had a serious gang problem, worse than here. And that is what they utilized. What might be good for there is not good for Trinidad and Tobago. And this People's National Movement and all civic and right-thinking citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, we have to get ready to take a stand, because they came on this occasion with this state of emergency that started in March, and they have not given any justification for it. Last night in the parliament, they have a legal obligation, as Scotty said, to justify and tell us as citizens what is the reason you want to continue it. Because a state of emergency suspends all of our constitutional rights. By now, you say you know who the criminals are. You're using preventative detention orders for gang members and criminals. We as citizens can't fall into the trap of becoming numb to states of emergency, because they've expanded it. They are now arresting and using preventative detention orders on innocent people. They're using it to suppress us from talking and from us describing what we don't like about the Prime Minister and other members of the government. That is not what this is for. A state of emergency suspends these. I wanted to bring the Constitution because many people talk about the Constitution and don't know what's in it, including many on the other side. Section 4 are the rights that Dr. Eric Williams and others fought for us to have. And put it, when we say it entrenched, it means even with their special majority, there are safeguards that you can't change it. These are the ones that bothering me, that they're suppressing right now. Freedom of association and assembly. Freedom of thought and expression. We warned with Regulation 11 of the state of emergency regulations that they will use it to suppress people and not allow freedom of thought and expression. We saw them lock up people like Miss Olive on their phone, Kim on their phone. The other day, Jason X get locked up. The PNM is about protecting democracy, and I'm telling Kamala and all of them, including the Attorney General tonight, that if you can't operate in a democracy, time to get out. Because the PNM in the last 10 years of government, no matter what was happening, we never, ever, ever suppressed the voice of citizens in expressing their displeasure. And the first time I realized the BSing with this state of emergency, because I come from national security, I know the thing. I sat on the National Security Council from September 9th, 2015, all the way to the 28th of April, 2025. I want you all to go back and look at the budget last year. We were in a state of emergency called by Kamala. And what did they do? They brought busloads of supporters to the parliament. I had to get out of the car on Lower Abercrombie Street and walk to the parliament. I walked up with one of our cabinet members because there was so much traffic, because the crowds were in the street. The Prime Minister came out her vehicle in a state of emergency. And when you remember what they call it for, Jeremy talk about rocket launcher and this and that and all that kind of dotishness. The Prime Minister came out her vehicle and went right in the middle of the crowd. You had Alexander as the Minister of Homeland Security and others walking amongst the crowd, beating instruments with the crowd. Well, I'm telling you all here tonight, if you really have a state of emergency because you're fearful of security, you don't behave like that. They cancel our Independence Parade. And when I say our, not PNM, ours as Trinidad and Tobago Independence Parade for security reasons. But that is how you're behaving? Mark my words. Tomorrow we go to the Parliament for Standing Finance Committee. We are stupid. And they had to learn that the hard way. They put into the Standing Finance Committee $2.5 million for Independence Day. They stand up last night and talk one set of hogwash. Not a single reason justifying the state of emergency. State of emergency continuing past then. Let me take a bet. Let me take a bet now what happened with Independence Day Parade. And if we force them to have it by us taking the bet, good. Because that is an important part of Trinidad and Tobago's celebrations. And we will look forward to welcoming all citizens, because we don't discriminate in the PNM, to come down to the savannah for Independence Day. And let me see what they do with the $2.5 million. Freedom of association and assembly. Freedom of movement. Freedom and the right to join political parties and to express political views. But last night in the Parliament, none other than the Attorney General started off the debate with threat after threat after threat. The Kamala now tonight trying to roll it back. They're trying to roll back, put out a statement saying, listen, we weren't attacking one ethnic group and one ethnicity and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. Fool who you want, but you're there fooling Trinidad and Tobago. Last night, people, the last section of Section 4 of our entrenched rights is freedom of the press. That is what you heard as part of the attack last night under the state of emergency. You cannot use the state of emergency to suppress people from expressing their right. And tonight, we in the PNM tell the young people outside there, we are your voice. And we will continue to fight for you because this is your Trinidad and Tobago, and you have to take it forward. And you have young people asking legitimate questions, questions that they're entitled to ask, expressing themselves in an honest way and a legal way, and you trying to suppress that, and you're trying to shut them down, and the negative, derogatory language the Prime Minister uses, calling them grifters, race baiters. What's this race baiting about? You are the biggest race baiter they have in Trinidad and Tobago. I just ask, Your Worship, first citizen of Port of Spain, my humble apologies. I just asked the mayor as we're sitting down there, what the hell a PNM person does look like? This phrase about PNM person and anybody looking like a PNM person, we know what it looked like, right? According to their mindset. But we in the PNM see citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and that is what Eric Williams and the founders gave us, and we will continue to fight for all citizens who are law-abiding citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. Young people, don't give up. Don't give up hope. Your voices are voices to be heard, and you continue to express your views. When we were in power, that same Jason X, during the last election, was vocal, cussing the member of Parliament for Port of Spain, North, St. Anne's West, left, right, center. And we were holding office. We were in cabinet. Member of Parliament for Port of Spain, North, St. Anne's West at the time was the Prime Minister. I said, let them talk, let them express. That is a God-given right. Kamala Prasad Bissessa is not doing that. It's state of emergency in the backside and suppressing everything. We are not going to accept that. I just want to touch very, very briefly on one sector that they're destroying. And I never thought they would have destroyed it in the record time that they have. And I'm not getting into details tonight because we're here to hear from our leader. You see the energy sector? That's the breadline for Trinidad and Tobago. That arguably is one of, if not the most important economic pillar for Trinidad and Tobago. PNM family, I have one other ask of you tonight. Be proud of everything that the PNM has done for Trinidad and Tobago and defend it and own it. Do not be shy and bashful of saying all the good that the PNM did. Because you see, they're rewriting history. And in every single sector, they're trying to claim all the good as UNC good. I stand here tonight and I say again without fear of contradiction, because we've been saying it since May 2025, and they have not been able to produce a single receipt to show what we're saying is not true. Everything that happened in the energy sector, in particular in the gas sector, and even the increase in oil since May 2025 is the PNM's work. PNM's work. Every member own it and be proud of it. Not a single initiative. This Exxon deal, it's us that did that. And yesterday, Munilal trying to defend it and say, oh, but you didn't deliver. We delivered it. Because you are incapable of doing anything good in the energy sector. But my fear is that they are leaving all the multinational oil and gas companies now to dictate the pace and to dictate the terms. They have their shareholders and they're about making the money. For government, you have your shareholders. As the people of Laventille, Port of Spain, Separia, San Fernando, Point Fortin, Labre, Tobago. Those are our citizens. And in the energy sector, the shutting down of Nutrien and Point Lisas and other plants is going to mash up this country and economy. As for NGC, they're taking out every red cent they could find in NGC. And one day I will speak about the LNG, because information is coming to us as to what Ramdeen and Rampasad, Mutilal and them doing with LNG and NGC. Trinidad and Tobago, stand by and be ready. And I'm telling Kamala tonight and her EAG, when all you come with your threats and your threats and your threats and your threats, time longer than twine. And we go take your wicket. One thing the PNM could do is bowl straight. And his middle and off stump. Come in for you. PNM family, Trinidad and Tobago, stand by. Stand by. And don't worry. People's National Movement is here. It ain't going nowhere and it's coming back strong. Strong, strong. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall prevail.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise for the Member of Parliament for Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, Honourable Stuart Young. Laventille West, assist me in acknowledging the chairman of the People's National Movement and the MP for Aruca Lopino, Honourable Marvin Gonzalez. PNM, PNM. Let's welcome our General Secretary, Foster Cummings. And let's also welcome our brother from Degomartin West, Honourable Hans de Veens. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is the very embodiment of what the PNM represents. That promise that no matter where you come from, excellence will carry you forward. He was born in the humble community of Beetham Gardens in 1995. He was raised in modest circumstances, and he was awarded the prestigious McCandle Dagger Law Scholarship to study law at the University of the West Indies. He became an attorney at law, a community activist, a Port of Spain alderman, and in 2025, the people of Laventille West decided that they're going to send young, fearless Kareem Marcelle into the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. Laventille West, assist me in welcoming the Member of Parliament for Laventille West, the Honourable, my brother, Kareem Marcelle.
Smile when they want me to frown. Keep the vibes and I stood my ground. They will never ever take my crown. Ujabes, I say no man hurts. Things get better when they thought it would be worse. Here comes the officers asking for a search. They found no weapon, just only a draw first. But I'm so sad he does a rock. They just can't stop me now. Even when they said they're
PNM
they
family!
can't stop me now.
The People's National Movement, we are solid as a rock. And they just cannot stop us now. Allow me to recognize the rock of the People's National Movement, the woman that will take the office of the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago whenever that election bell is rung. Allow me to recognize my political leader, the opposition leader, the Member of Parliament for Arima, my leader extraordinaire to Laventille West, Pennelope Beckles Robinson. Allow me to recognize our party chairman, General Secretary, Deputy Political Leader, Lady Vice Chairman, Members of Parliament, my brother and campaign manager for the local government election, Mr. Lennox Ratan Singh. And I want to recognize all of you beautiful Laventille West, Laventille East PNM people. Welcome to Laventille. Brothers and sisters, I often remind this great Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, especially in the last election, that election has consequences. And I don't think that we said it enough, because we said it last year, but next year we have the local government elections. And I want to remind you here from Laventille West that election has consequences. This is the most wicked, evil, and racist government in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Sometimes we have short memory, and sometimes the adults in our communities no longer remind us as to what happened 10 and 15 and 20 years ago. Because you would remember, and you would feel as if because we are living in a perpetual state of emergency so early in a government's term, that it is something new to the UNC. On August 21st, 2011, the Prime Minister at that time rolled out in her Pink Palace, nothing in change, she in the diplomatic center, back in the Pink Palace. On August 21st, 2011, our Prime Minister at the time announced a state of emergency. What she announced it as was a limited state of emergency. Can you recall that? She said that the whole of Trinidad and Tobago is not under a state of emergency, that only communities like Beetham Gardens, like Sealots, like Enterprise, like the train line, like Junjan, like Simple Street, like Nelson Street, like Morvant, only these communities like Maloney and the Hocketa, etc., only these communities were the Prime Minister at the time willing to suspend our constitutional rights in the name of some hoax that somebody wanted to kill one of them in the government. We have short memory in Trinidad and Tobago. So when we find ourselves in 14 months into a wicked UNC government reign, a terror in this country, And we find ourselves out of 14 months to be living 11 months in a state of emergency. I want you to understand that election has consequences. But I will tell you, this population have often ignored some of the reigns of terror that Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her bunch of clowns have been placing on Trinidad and Tobago citizens. When they came for CPAP workers, more than 11,000 workers, a lot of this country stayed silent. They said nothing because they were not CPAP workers. Then they came for URP daily paid workers. And a lot of this country said nothing because they were not URP daily paid workers. Then they came for 4,000 forestry workers in Trinidad and Tobago. And Trinidad and Tobago, you said nothing because you were not forestry workers. And then they came for monthly paid URP workers in every region. And you said nothing, Trinidad and Tobago, because you were not a monthly paid URP worker. They came for AGC workers, you said nothing, Trinidad and Tobago. They came for LSA workers, you said nothing, Trinidad and Tobago. And this government, it is not by design that you are saying nothing. This government has been threatening every sector of Trinidad and Tobago. They are making citizens afraid to even show up, to have their voices heard. But I will tell you that you may continue to sit silently, and before you know it, it will be by your doorsteps. Months down, almost 2 years would be over in early 2027. Nothing you do in the last election year matters. So I consider that they have 4 years, maximum. I want you to understand that things are not going to get better under the UNC. Your job is not going to be safe. When your contract comes to an end, you are staying silent and you don't want to say nothing about the UNC. When your contract comes to an end, they are not going to renew it. Kamala Persad-Bissessar has came for revenge for every time in the last 10 years you voted against her. That unfit misfit as a leader has come for revenge against the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. But you see that pain in your belly that you feel as a CPAP worker when you were fired? You see that pain in your belly that you felt as a URP worker when you were fired? You see that pain that you felt in any state agency when your contract was not renewed and they say, well, they don't have to extend it? You see that pain? I want you to hold on to it. And whenever an election is called in Trinidad and Tobago, I want you to unleash it on Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her bunch of thieves. I want you to boil up that pain inside. I want you to boil it up. And when they feel that you sleeping and they call local government elections, we will ensure that they don't have one corporation in Trinidad and Tobago. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, you unfit and misfit leader. I want to send a message to you from Laventille West tonight. If you name Bajan, if you feel you could cuff down everybody in Trinidad and Tobago, if you name the Bajan from Separia, call an election now. Call an election now. Call it. And we will show you that we will elect as our Prime Minister in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Pennelope Beckles Robinson.
Laventille West, PNM people, they don't like we and they will never like we. But I want them to know that we don't like them and we will never like them. Our former Prime Minister, the Honourable Stuart Young, just asked, what is a PNM person to the UNC? Well, let me tell you, me ain't afraid to say, whenever they say PNM people on social media, the me is the new N-word. They hate African people, they hate black people, they hate people from Bisan, they hate people from Silas, they hate people from Maloney, they hate people from Lakota, they hate people from the trade line, they hate people from Arima, they hate people from Kainaj, they hate me. A bunch of racist clowns in this country. And if you feel the PNM is sleeping, come now for this. If you feel that your pollsters telling you that you could call an election and win the election, come now for this are praying, are waiting. The PNM people we kneeling, the PNM people we grieving, the PNM people ready, the PNM people ready for election to elect Pennelope Beckles Robinson as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Laventille West, I want to talk to you very shortly. Laventille West and East Port of Spain. I want them to know in Laventille West, in Laventille East, in Sanwa Laventille, that for local government elections, we are taking no prisoners. We are not going to open our doors to you. We are not going to hug you up and say, oh God, we will treat you with the same hate and scorn that you treat us for the last 14 months. We will return it tenfold. We will ensure in Sanwa Laventille that you don't even get an alderman. And I want to say this, Laventille West. I know that under the next PNM government, if you are so honored to have me as your next member of parliament when the election is called again, that my political leader would have a decision to make as to whether she would put me in her cabinet or not. I think she liked me. I think she loves me. And I swear to you that I would be biased in your favor. I swear to you that I would treat the UNC with malice. I swear to you, Laventille West, that I will treat you with favor. I swear to you, Laventille West, that I will ensure that we get the fair share of our national economic pie. I swear to you, Laventille West, that we would give our young professionals and our young activists and our community activists in the trenches the opportunity to serve at the highest levels in Trinidad and Tobago. I swear to you, Laventille West, that if you step into this next bold new chapter with Pennelope Beckles Robinson and I as your member of parliament, that you will get your fair share. So PNM people, you stand ready. They could call election on a Sunday. They could call it on a Monday. They could call it on a Tuesday. They could call it even when it's Wednesday.
They can call it on a Thursday. They can call it on a Friday. They can call it on a Saturday. They can call it in the morning. They can call it in the night. They can call it in the evening. When that election bell is rung, we will all say, red is the BNM. We will all say, red is the BNM. We will all say, red is the People's National Movement, and we shall prevail. Thank you.
Weeping and mourning in the night, but joy in the morning. But we just have to endure.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You see, God, the wine and I go. We don't really need the light up. Them say what goes around comes right back around. I go wait until the time comes. So from sun up straight to sunset, you could catch I bust in a sweat. I must time out. I feel like Hulk. Move any mountain, I trample any building like Hulk. Man, better than monster. Dismantle any structure, boy. Trample them, trample them, trample them, trample them. If I'm a shot and mass up the cheaters, step on the problems, then what we gonna do? Trample them, trample them, trample them. Kick off my problems, kick off my problems. You see, the most I know.
ladies and gentlemen, when you come to a PNM meeting, you get PNM education. And I want the government to know that after this evening, who and politically dead will be badly wounded. I want them to know that they can come all out. But you see, our two Laventille men, don't come and touch them. And to Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisasa, there's only one thing I really hear from Kareem. I know you all here too. Call elections now. Ladies and gentlemen, in the ancient book of Esther, we read of a young woman, an orphan of humble beginnings, who rose against all odds to sit in the halls of power. When her people faced destruction, when the decree was made and was signed, and the enemies of injustice thought that they won, it was not a general, it was not a king, but it was a woman who stood in the gap. And when her cousin Mordecai asked her, why was she placed in that position? That answer echoed through all the halls, and she said, who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such as a time as this? Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, that story feels like home. I know of a young lady from a humble village in San Fernando. She was raised without electricity and running water. She is the daughter of a trade unionist. She was being prepared long time ago for service. She studied law. She served in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, and she served us at the United Nations. And in the PNM, you know, sometimes we may be slow, but when we do it right. In the PNM last year, if you all remember, we decided that we were going to elect the first female political leader of the People's National Movement. We decided that we were going to elect a caretaker and a builder. And like Esther, she did not just come to the position by accident. Like Esther, she carries the weight of her people on her shoulders. And like Esther, she looked at the moment, this critical moment, and she says, if I perish, I perish. Ladies and gentlemen, we in the PNM decided last year that we were going to anoint her as our Queen Esther. And in 2030, the people of Trinidad and Tobago will take our nominated queen and install her as the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. She is the Member of Parliament for Arima. She is the former Minister of Housing and Development, a former Minister of Planning and Development. Ladies and gentlemen, she is our opposition leader. She is our political leader. She is the Prime Minister in waiting. And when the election is called, we will ensure that Honourable Pennelope Beckles Robinson is sent as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Laventille West, let's welcome our political leader.
Don't be silent, say no transgressions are many. Thank God for the life that He gave me. So all you who don't and are losing faith, try to congregate, no try to separate. I'm calling on the prayer warriors in the country. Come forth, beg on me, because I say, and I need a blessing. They will need a blessing. They will need a blessing. And I need a blessing. They will need a blessing. Life is getting hard to manage. Oh yeah. The plan you had for us is vanishing. Lord, the nation in distress. Ready say that's required. Pray for my people to not lose their fire. Sending prayers for those who suffer in silence. Grant them wisdom, cures, clarity, and guidance. I pray for the young and I pray for the old. Cover their minds so don't let them lose control. Don't be silent, say no transgressions are many. Thank God for the life that He gave me. So all you who don't and are losing faith, try to congregate, no time to separate. I'm calling on the prayer warriors in the country. Come forth and beg on me, because I say, Trinidad needs a blessing. Tobago needs a blessing. Trinidad needs a blessing. Okay. I want you to remain standing. And I want us, listen, I want us to stand for a minute silence for the passing of a son of the soil from Laventille, Robert Grimmage. Let's have a minute silence. May his soul rest in peace. That's how we do it the PNM way. We are here in communities. Yes, yes. We are here in surrounding communities of Beetham Gardens, Priscalans, Sealox, Success, Laventille. And for many of us would remember that in August, we would have the parade of bands on the Eastern Main Road. We are in the cultural capital of Trinidad and Tobago. Yes? So let me recognize the chairman of the People's National Movement, the Honourable Marvin Gonzalez. Our Lady Vice Chairman, Dr. Nan Gadsby Dolly. Our former Prime Minister, the Honourable Stuart Young, and Member of Parliament for Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West. And I'm going to call out my colleagues who are here
You know, Scotty looking real special tonight, you know, only I find so. The Honourable Keith Scotland, Member of Parliament for Port of Spain South. His Worship, the Mayor of Port of Spain, Alderman Chinua Alleyne, and I also saw Richard Walcott, yes, Chairman of Samoa Laventille. I call him the most handsome man in the PNM. Well, you know who that is? Hans de Veens. Member of Parliament for Diego Martin West. And of course, senators are here. Senator Amy Brown is here. Senator Foster Cummings, you know, the man that has the always neat ras, the Honourable Christian Birchwood, Laventille East Nova, Malabar Mausika, Dominic Romaine. I'll leave a certain person for last, no worry, right? And of course, your MP, the Honourable. Come, let me hear, loud and clear. Kareem Marcelle. Someone who is proud of his heritage, proud of where he came from, and he always says, I am from Beetham Gardens. What a pleasure it is to be here tonight, and I am getting the energy of an election. I want to start by sharing something with you, and I don't want to misquote because it really kind of set, I mean, I was so upset, you know. Yesterday, the Prime Minister in Parliament, after a set of lecture, after Scotland, Stuart, Marvin, Colm, this is what the Prime Minister said. Now, I couldn't believe that when we raised the issue of this no protest zone and the state of emergency, this is what the Prime Minister did. The Prime Minister said she measured Trinidad and Tobago. Only remember that? Stuart, you remember that? Christian, Dominic, only remember that? Now, when people have nothing to do, because if you govern in the country, you won't have time to measure Trinidad and Tobago. She measured Trinidad and Tobago, and it measured 5,119 square kilometers. And the Prime Minister said that the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago still have 99.77% of Trinidad and Tobago available to protest. Now you listen to me. You may not have heard that. Any of you heard that? Because most of you would not have been listening. But believe you, I want you to believe that that woman comes before the Parliament to tell you that you still have 99.7% of the country still to protest. A good thing, as I talk tonight, I drinking water. And the reason why I'm starting there is because you, the people of Laventille, are accustomed taking a little walk in town. And we must not lose sight of what this government is trying to do. Imagine that you cannot protest in front of the Ministry of Finance. You can't protest in front of the Parliament. And if they're telling you about 500 meters, you can't protest nowhere on Brian Lara Promenade. You can't walk down Frederick Street. But what is worse, you can't protest by the airport, Piaco. You can't protest people of Tobago by Anna Robinson Airport. But she's telling you you could protest by 99 99.7% of the country. Now, you find that making sense? And she's telling you can't go by the diplomatic center where she's supposed to reside. But she don't even want you to protest in a place where she's not living. So people of Trinidad and Tobago, people of Laventille, Prisca lands, Beatums, and Sealots, you have to ask yourself, what is this government afraid of? But you know, when you start to treat people like little children, and when people begin to realize that you lack compassion, and when you claim that you love them, and people begin to realize in less than a year that you don't love them, that is when you just get frightened. So that is what it is all about. You know, when I come into town and I come on the bus route before this government was in office, and I looked at how the people of this area manicured, right? Manicured. Not burn the bush, because you notice they have a new way now of cleaning the environment, you know. They're glad we had a long dry season, so they're burning the bush. And in places where they ain't burning the bush, even their own areas, the bush taller than the people and where the people live in. So if they had cared about the people of Beatum and Laventille, they wouldn't do you that. And they wouldn't close down the programs, because it's not only about your jobs, you know, it is about your environment. It is about flooding. And it is about mosquitoes. So you have to ask yourself, and your MP did it very well, you know. I don't want your memories to be short. I know what it is, because when Kareem speaks to me, and when Scotty speaks to me, and when Birchwood speaks to me, and you would hear from time to time that people are coming to the constituencies. Ask Stuart, ask Nyan, ask Dominic, ask Hans. We know it's not easy for you to come and ask for a hamper. We know it's not easy for you to come and ask for a hamper. We know it's not easy for you to come and ask for $20 to go in town, or to come and ask for $200 to go in town. And we know that when school closes in the next month or so, we know it ain't easy for you to come and beg for school book and school bag. And I hope you were listening last night when she said that the people in URP and CPEP and reforestation is a pack of grass cutters. Ask yourself if that is who you want to vote for. Somebody that would describe you as lazy and a pack of grass cutters. Yes, she has to go. We have had enough of her. And I want to warn the people of Beatum and Sealots and Priscalans and Laventille. As Kareem says, elections have consequences. But I want to warn you a little more. Foster is sitting here. And the people of La Hoqueta Talparo, right now, they wish he was the member of parliament. But be careful of those that come bearing gifts. Because when they feel that you don't have, they put you in a predicament where you don't have. Because they starve you of food. And they feel they could come to you now and you go take what they're offering. The crumbs that they're going to offer you. They went to La Hoqueta Talparo and they offered them washing machine, microwave, fridge, all kinds of things. But they didn't only offer them that, you know. They tell them that when they get into office, they go look after them. And I'm repeating myself because they're going to come back with the same thing again. When UNC wins, everybody wins. They're going to come back with that. And as we would say, no sooner the ink dry and they get into office, they fire all you. I mean, what person, what manner of woman would send home so many women and men? And I want you all to know, you know, because this woman make all you believe she have a heart, you know. This woman make all you believe she care about all you. But it is not true. It is not true that this government cares for you. Now, the same union who they promise they will give them 100% in cash. You notice that ain't happening. Time is going to go quickly. Next year is the start of the UNC's government, third year in office. I want to put it that way to you so you will understand what I'm saying. Local elections is due next year, and you have to be ready. It could come like a thief in the night. There are many of you that go to the MPs who are sitting here. You will collect your pension on time. You will collect your salary on time. And there is a new procedure. Long ago, when you applied for your pension and your public assistance, you used to get a back pay. Remember that? You know these people changed that? Do you know these people changed that? So that there are a number of you right in here who apply for pension and public assistance under the PNM in 2026. If you apply in 2024, you get your 2 years. You know these people cancel that and say that they no longer doing that. That is the level of wickedness. Because this government is operating as though the treasury is theirs. And they could decide who to give and who not to give. And blacklist you as well. There are many of you in here who would go and apply for your self-help, apply for your housing grant, go for your HVIP. Up to now, they can't get LSA up and running. You cannot go to the Ministry of Housing for your grant. And I will tell you worse than that. Do you know that they fire almost all the contract officers in self-help? So it is not only CPEP and URP and reforestation, it's the Ministry of Housing, it's self-help, everybody from LSA go on, and every day you are hearing of persons who this government is sending home. All these promises of 50,000 jobs, 500 houses a week, it is not happening.
You're going to learn.
Yeah, say that again. Say it again.
You're going to learn.
And I want to say to Kareem, because when we had this session in Sawo last week or 2 weeks ago, they're trying to figure out where all these young people come out. I want to thank the young people of Laventille West. And I want to talk to you about hope tonight. You know this thing called hope? Because this perception, Stuart will tell you that 3 weeks ago in the parliament, that Mr. Sturge, who can't go in Sandy Grande, telling Stuart that all the criminals coming from Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, from Port of Spain South, from Laventille West. And that is how this UNC government under Kamala Prasad Bisesa perceives the constituencies of the PNM. They are telling the public that all the crime is taking place in PNM constituencies. But they're going to be coming for your vote. They're going to be coming for your vote. And you must be ready to tell them what you're going to do with your vote. But I tell people that the Lord does not sleep. No sooner than she spoke about criminals only coming from PNM areas, it had a double murder in her own constituency. And a triple murder. So I want to say to all of you here, because I am never afraid to say that we need to do better. And I want to say to the constituencies of Laventille West, Laventille East Mova, Port of Spain South, Port of Spain North St. Anne's West, very often you have felt that there are times when the PNM could do better for you. I stand here tonight with several members of the executive to thank the people of Laventille who have always supported the People's National Movement. And I want to tell you all something. And I'm saying it from my heart. And I give you the undertaking here tonight that we will do better. Let me say this. Kareem will tell you, I have only been the political leader for 1 year. This is my second meeting in Laventille West. And I know, because I see several people in here who I have represented as a lawyer. And you all know that it ain't have no part of Laventille that I'm afraid to walk. Now, I want to tell all of this. As much as Kareem helped me to come up the steps is because he's a gentleman. I doesn't want to say it, but I just have to say it. Some people can't come up the steps. You see, when people can't find nothing to say about you, they just talk a lot of rubbish. A lot of rubbish. But let me tell you all something. To run this country, you have to be mentally and physically fit. And let me tell you something. I am only fit by myself, I want my MPs and senators. All let's see fit people. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up. I want you all to know that we in the PNM, we are a team. We are a team. And we may not be perfect, but you see, by the time the election call, we gotta be ready. And I want to tell Kamala and the UNC, keep out a damn PNM business. I told her already, when you want to criticize me, come and run a 5K. I don't want to leave here with one of my main points, which is to the young people. I want you all to give me your attention. Sitting right there is the former Minister of Youth. And all my colleagues here would tell you, Stuart, former member, Scotty, Nyan, Marvin, would tell you, Amory is here as well, the People's National Movement prioritized young people. And Foster not talking tonight, but you're talking next night. Because you need to give Foster an hour to talk about the programs the PNM had for young people. And this wicked, evil government, as soon as they come into office, they close down almost every single program for young people. I told you before, and I'm going to say it again. We are going to reopen the CPEP program. All the programs, the Youth Agricultural Program, yes? Could you believe that? CCC, MyLat, MyPath. We could go through the list. I mean, listen. I cannot understand why as soon as they get into government, they close it down. Totally closed down. Absolutely no heart. Brothers and sisters, the youth camps. Whether it's Mount St. George, Tobago, whether it's Dung Point, whether it's El Dorado, Presto, all products of the People's National Movement. We talked about agriculture over the years and people felt we weren't doing enough. So we start the youth agriculture program where you could get a little 2 acres of land. You know, they close it down. They close it down. But now, for those of you who want to making a little coconut oil, they increase the fine if you don't have a license. I'm telling you, a fine is not a tax. People, the time is going to come sooner than you think. I want to remind you, 1986, 33.3. I want to remind you, 1818. I want to remind you, 1717 I want to remind you, 2115. I want to remind you, 26-13. It is with your support. It is with your support that we are going to return to government. I want to acknowledge, as I close, the work of the councillors, the mayor, and the chairman of Laventille Regional Corporation. You may not know, but they have cut the allocation for the Port of Spain City Corporation and the Sawa Laventille Corporation. And they don't have the money for garbage collection. They don't have the money for salaries. They don't have the money for development project, because this government, while they increase the allocation for all the UNC councils, they reduce the allocation for the PNM corporations. And many times, you would see now that they don't have funds to collect garbage. This is serious business. That's what we're here to talk about. And the councillors here from Arima would tell you it's the same thing. Those who are here from Diego Martin would tell you it is the same thing. Why would a government want to traumatize people? Why? Why would they want to penalize people? So, you know, ladies and gentlemen, it is important for us to pay attention to how this government functions. You have a prime minister whose style of government and governance is to threaten you, to cuff you down, to load up the matic, to bust your head. But the interesting thing about all of that, you know, you ain't really seen her to do that. It's an invisible cuff. Because if you are not making yourself available to the press, a whole year pass, now you really feel that if Stuart as Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley as Prime Minister, Mr. Manning as Prime Minister didn't make themselves available for a whole year, you could imagine what would have happened. But this lady continues to govern by TikTok, WhatsApp, Facebook, everything else. And she would not make herself available to the press to answer any questions. But don't worry, you know. Don't worry. So, Stuart said a while ago about independence. How many of you believe we're going to have independence parade? Now, so this is the second year. If you go to the savannah, you will see that the North Stand still up. They have not been practicing for any parade. So don't surprise yourself if you're going to hear all kind of thing, all kinds of excuses they're going to give you so that there will not be a parade. Eric Williams made sure that we became an independent country. And they cannot take that away from us. So they don't want no independence again. We will find ways and means to celebrate our independence. The darkness of these days are real. There are many of you here that get up on a daily basis and you ask yourself, Lord, what did I do to deserve this? Huh? You're ashamed to go by your neighbor and ask for some milk and for some food. You're ashamed to go back by Kareem. You're ashamed to go by Stuart and Birchwood and Scotty and the mayor because you went before. But as night follows day, the People's National Movement will be back in office. We understand your pain. We understand your grief. And we know that it's for the People's National Movement to rescue Trinidad and Tobago. They will come to you again and tell you, don't vote for the PNM because the PNM may do nothing for you. There are many of you who I see sitting here who can write the history of Laventille, who can write the history of Beetham Gardens, who can write the history of Sealots, and who can write the history of Success Laventille. And it may not be perfect, and as I tell you, there's a lot more to do. But I can, as I stand here today, I know there are many of you, and Kareem is an example that the People's National Movement has still done a lot for these areas. And it matters not whether in the field of education, because the PNM's policy, going back to Dr. Eric Williams, was from early childhood to tertiary education. Whether it is in the housing sector, because there are many of you, notwithstanding the fact that there are still some issues to be dealt with in the housing sector, which I commit that we have to do better in the housing sector that benefited from houses under the People's National Movement. And when you leave Port of Spain, whether you're going to Diego Martin or whether you're going to Arima or to Granly, all the road infrastructure was done by the People's National Movement. The Honourable Stuart Young said he didn't have time today to go into the energy sector. But when we speak energy, when we speak LNG, when we speak natural gas, we speak the People's National Movement. And there is nothing they can do, absolutely nothing they can do to erase the development, the successes, the plans of the People's National Movement. So I want to say to you, please, let us pray that the time flies quickly. Let us pray. Let us pray that we will be able to deal with the horror, with the grief, with the pain, with the hurt that we will have to deal with for the next couple of days under this UNC government. But we know better days are around the corner. The Prime Minister told us yesterday. Well, she had to tell me that. We know she don't care about me. Yesterday, I challenged her and I said to her, You told the people of Trinidad and Tobago that the people of Trinidad and Tobago want the extension. And Aska said, but where's the information to prove that? She said that she did a poll. She also said she did a poll, and the people of Trinidad and Tobago are going to be voting for the UNC again, and they are satisfied of the performance of the UNC. I want to ask you a question, because the people from Port of Spain to Separia must know, are you satisfied with the performance of the UNC? Because every single meeting that we have, these people listen. They pay attention. They're busy macroing. They want to know who talking and who they're talking and how long they're talking and what they're wearing. Let them understand that the PNM is alive. All right? I felt the energy walking today into this crowd. And to Kareem and Laventille West, you did an excellent job. I just want to close by thanking all of you for coming. Don't worry. In this crowd, we have people from Tunapuna. Come Tunapuna, pop your hand. Yes. We have people from San Fernando. Yes, yes. Arima. Yes. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for the next meeting. You have every reason to be proud as a PNM. You have every reason to be proud as a PNM. You have every reason to be proud that you are part of an institution that has withstood the test of time, that has the Balizé as their symbol, a symbol and a flower. If you chop it down, it grow back. If you burn it, it grow back. And I say to you, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and it shall prevail.
Laventille West, you heard our marching orders from our political leader. Let us make some noise to the Member of Parliament for Arima. I'm the next Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. We are asking, we are not finished just yet. PNM people, we are not finished just yet. We are asking if everyone can remain seated. So PNM people, you know that on June 27th, we're going to have the Back in Times party of the era. Now you're unsure. Basically, we're having a back in time period for the time that I was a thought. So at this time, we're going to have the ad to play.
On Saturday, June 27, 2026, we head to Club Coconuts at Cascadia Hotel. The PNM presents the Big Red Back in Times Party. Lift up your head and hold it up high. This is a generation jam where old school meets new school energy. Featuring your DJs, Akeem 5.0, Super High, DJ 57, Shotmaster J, and Kabuki. Dress as your favorite MP from back in the day. Come out in your 80s, 90s, and early 2000s way. Don't stop at all. From this Arizona road to Alderman. For more info, call 625-1533, 612-9970, or 484-3766. Tickets cost $250. At the door, you pay more. Saturday, June 27th, we take it back in time at Club Coconut. Doors open at 8 p.m. and we fet until the PNM Big Red Back in Times Party.
Ladies and gentlemen, you would have received your marching orders from our political leader. And in Laventille West, we will let the UNC know that when the PNM is coming, run far and be scared. Ladies and gentlemen, whenever Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessor decides that she's going to call an election, on that election night, we all will say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and it shall prevail. Thank you.
Like they want to bust head. No matter what they do, me I go come for them. We they get in like they want to come for me. So tell them come for me. Right now I'm feeling the tension, and there's too much to mention. They take up all my attention. Only thing of everything you accuse me, and all the time you abuse me. But no, you cannot refuse me. Only thing I was born in a village. I learned my opinion.